SJ, welcome to the SAINTCON Hallway.
Thank you.
How's the con been going for you this year?
It's been incredible this year. It's been so wonderful to see everybody. I mean, it's nice to see all your friends and people you haven't seen for a long time. There are more people here than ever before. I mean, this is a 25% growth over last year, so
Wow.
a lot of new people that I got to meet too, and a lot of people who are here learning. I also got to see a ton of people who, we met when I started coming to SAINTCON, 10, 11 years ago, and they're here sharing their career success stories and how wonderful SAINTCON has been in helping them to get there. And it's a proud moment for what we've been doing here, what we want to do, what we're trying to achieve. And I think we have more to do, too.
If you hit a decade helping run SAINTCON, is that sainthood? Coining it now, Troy.
It would be awesome if it worked that way. I don't know. Like, it's been over a decade. And
How do you feel about it's been over a decade that you've been doing this?
exhausted, maybe? No, I feel good about it. Like, I feel like we've done some amazing work here. And like I was saying, there's some people that I've talked to that are like, SJ, I talked to you 10 years ago and you helped launch my career, and now I'm doing this amazing thing for this amazing organization. And I had like 12 people tell me that this year. And I know that, like, I talked to Jupiter about that too, and he's had the same sort of thing. It feels like it's worth it. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. I'm not going to say you're the reason, but you helping to run SAINTCON. SAINTCON is a big part of my career trajectory.
Yeah, and I think it's part of all of our career trajectories, right? I mean, I don't want to say that I just give to this and everyone else takes. I've received a lot of benefit from this too. I've made a lot of connections. I have a lot of friends. And I mean, when I first started a decade ago, I remember sitting in a room with Fuzzy Knop and Zevlag doing the Hackers Challenge, not sleeping for like a week, trying to get all those things. And I learned so much from that. And that, I think that's what makes SAINTCON special, is this idea of community where we're willing to help one another out and learn new things. And it just keeps growing. Like I see a ton of people who are grateful people, who are giving people, showing up year after year, trying to make this better. And I think everybody gets part of that.
Yeah, it is impressive how much effort goes into things that I don't think about. Like, there's entire villages and communities of things that are like way over the top that I'd put no mental energy in, and they are just here and functioning and going, and they have volunteers, and they have people, and they have mini badges, and they have contests, and it's wild.
Yeah, and some of those things are very compartmentalized, and it has a smaller number of people who are pulling it together and running it and bringing all the pieces together. And then some of those things sort of branch out, and you have help that comes from all kinds of different places. We have people who show up to some of these events, like we have our family night that happened, and we had people just jumping in saying, I'm willing to help right now. And they didn't even know that this was happening until, earlier on in the day or something. And that's just exciting. It's just exciting to see all that coming together.
What do you think SAINTCON looks like in 5 years?
What do I think SAINTCON looks like in 5 years? I don't know. I think it depends. There's some careful questions we got to think about as a committee to figure out where we want to take it. What I'd like SAINTCON to look like in 5 years.
Speak it into existence.
Speak it into existence is an even stronger community than what we have today. Even more people who are engaged in this community, right? I think we've got good engagement. I think we have wonderful people who are already here. I would like to see more, and I would like to see better outreach. I think for a lot of people, breaking into the InfoSec community is hard for a lot of reasons. And I mean, you can go down all the tracks of what inhibits people for that, but I'd like to sort of help break that barrier for a lot of people, and I'd like for SAINTCON to be part of that. And, I'm encouraged by some of the wonderful people that we see here who are bringing their families and their friends and people from not just Utah, but out of state. Like 14% of SAINTCON here this year is from out of state.
Oh, I like getting that number. I was going to guess 10.
It's 14.
I'm going to say 15. Sounds better than 14.
Okay, it's 15%. We'll just make the number. We'll fudge the numbers.
Yeah, it's pretty close. If I was that's a rounding error.
Yeah. So, there's just so many things where we're growing.
Wait, does that count Idaho?
It does count Idaho.
What if we take out Idaho? Is it 2%?
It's not 2%. I'll have to look that up.
Because I'm curious, because we adopted Idaho. They pretty much just come down.
Yeah. That's true. So I had this conversation with Troy.
Yeah,
I had this conversation with Troy. He was upstairs giving
we
a talk.
love the people from Idaho. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But they're
just kind of like part of Utah.
They're already our family. Yeah. They're already our family.
Well, and I know the number for out of state because I looked that up. I do run the registration system, and so I do, some metrics on that. So I know that it's 14%, not from Utah. I haven't looked at the Idaho numbers, or I would be able to tell you. Maybe I'll look them up later.
I'm just curious
and message you. But I've met some people from North Carolina, South Carolina, Wyoming, Florida, New York, California, Nevada.
Some
just
Texans,
over a couple days.
A Seattlean.
Yes, Texas. I had dinner with somebody from Texas a couple nights ago. But just a lot of people who are just joining the community or expanding the community. Some of these people used to be here, came to SAINTCON, and then moved away for a job or a family or whatever, life happens. And then they're bringing their friends or letting their friends know about it. I think we also had a bunch of growth through the COVID scenario. I know we shut sort of the live in-person stuff down for not just SAINTCON, but a lot of things. And we had sort of a massive growth of people who couldn't normally come because suddenly everything was digital. And that was exciting too. I think that helped with our growth, but it sort of had other problems.
Right. We're kind of right on the edge of the kids of people who come to SAINTCON becoming adults and having careers in this industry. There's been a few, but we're right on the edge of a lot are starting to come.
Yeah.
And it's wild to see all of these kids of people that we've been hanging out with for years, and they're all like teenagers to 17-year-olds to 20-year-olds now asking career advice and landing jobs in InfoSec.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be wild in the next 5 years.
Absolutely.
That right now, I think we're just right on the edge of, I met a few here who are now 20 and they're getting into cyber. And I think in 5 years, we're going to have like hundreds.
Yeah. It used to be that we would have, from schools, seniors coming out from both Utah and Idaho to do this, or a lot of people from local universities. There are a lot of them here in Utah. And it would be the career conversation of like, okay, I'm getting ready to go to college and I need an internship, or I'm getting ready to graduate. How do I break into this industry? And I think you're right. I think it's dramatically changed because we have younger and younger participants. I mean, my son spoke in a main track this year, and he's a teenager, a super proud dad moment, right? I'm super excited about that. And, he's talking about the journey to learn cybersecurity sort of on his own with no budget, because I wouldn't give him any of those things. I think that sort of helps him to do learning the way that you and I did learning, right? It was all about, how do I get the chance to play video games, or how do I get access to this thing? And you had to get creative. There are a lot of scenarios in the world today where you don't have to struggle as much, and you expect that things are just going to go well. And we're seeing a lot of young people in our community who are coming to this event and realizing it's not like picking a lock on TV where it just happens super fast. But if you put in the work, it can happen super fast, and you can be the one to do it. If you put in the work to, go visit our home labs or IoT communities, and you learn those things, then suddenly you have more skill than you did 5 days ago. And I think that's significant too. And we've got a large contingent of very young people engaged in SAINTCON in a lot of different ways. And they're getting, I think, benefits for it. And I don't know if all of them are going to end up with a career in cybersecurity, but even if they don't, I think it still makes the world a better place from a cybersecurity perspective.
They're going to look at a lock different the rest of their life.
Yeah, it would be great for more people to understand how does a lock work or how does cybersecurity work. You're probably less likely to click on that phishing email if instead of believing that someone in security is going to handle it, that you can handle it.
Right. That makes sense. What is SJ's InfoSec origin story? One day you're computering or doing something else, and somehow you cross into information security.
For me, it was when I was super young, and it was about playing video games, right? It was about...
What was the first video game that you can remember? Like the one that like just drove you?
Oh, man. The first video game.
What's the one that you're like, I have to circumvent some control to play that game?
So I think that video game is called Castle Adventure.
Love it.
ASCII-based text video game. And it was, how do I get around the controls on this 286 computer so that I can play it? Because I want to play it. And I actually pulled this out a while ago because I want to teach my children, like, what were video games like before? And when we usually talk about that, we get into Minecraft and, like, 8-bit graphics, and they look horrible. That's true. But Minecraft is not the same as video games when you and I were kids.
Right.
And so I like to pull up these old video games that we've played before and show them to my children and say, this is what video games were like.
This was fun.
Way back in the day. And this was fun, and here's why. And
Squint your eyes. This was fun.
Some of them they like, and some of them they don't. But this game in particular, I played a lot. And I mean a lot when I was a kid. So when I got an emulator to play it again, I popped it in and said, hey, kids, let me demo this for you. I was able to defeat all the enemies, grab all the items, and solve everything, get out and escape in 15 minutes flat from muscle memory.
That's
from memory,
insane.
Right? And when you're a kid, you can learn all those things. You establish those neural pathways. There's a lot more neuroplasticity, so you can do that. I don't think I could learn something like that today, but I wish I could. But it's just interesting, like, how important it is to establish that pathway of learning. And I think that figures into not just InfoSec learning, but just learning in general. And I think that helps with InfoSec, whether it's from a career perspective or just making the world a better place. This natural curiosity of figuring stuff out and building that idea of figuring stuff out in your brain helps, right? It's really an incredible experience to look at something that maybe you don't know as much about and say, I have maybe no idea how to figure this out or how to solve this. Let me make an idea. Let me try something out.
Awesome. What is something that people don't know about SJ?
What is something that
if somebody's showing up to SAINTCON the first time and they want to talk to you, and yes, there's the social engineering and there's all the InfoSec things, but what's something else that they can bring up to you and you guys have instant rapport?
That is a good question. And I wish I had a great answer off the top of my tongue.
What do you do for hobbies? Musical instruments, sports, anything.
I love the outdoors.
Outdoors. What type of outdoors? I mean, it could be beach, it could be glaciers, it could be Utah mountains.
It could be beach, it could be glaciers, it could be Utah mountains. I like being actively engaged in the outdoors. So while it's fun to drive in a car and sit and see those things, I'd rather get out of the car and go explore those things, whether it's in a kayak or on foot or climbing or
kayaking, four-wheeling, rappelling,
skiing, snowboarding, whatever just
outdoor
doing those
activities.
Things. Outdoor activities.
All right, so if you want to come chat with SJ,
you can talk about those things.
Outdoor
I'll
activities.
totally talk about that. Yep.
If you're also into those things, then bring it up and you can find a connection. You don't feel so timid to come and reach out to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe perhaps the bigger secret is I think I have an exterior of being less approachable, but I'd like to be more approachable, right?
That's why I'm trying to build this here. Come talk to you about outdoor stuff.
But I think I'm a nice person. I'd like to be a nice person.
If
you do want to come talk to me, maybe take that chance. I'm open to it.
If you have a day off, what is your ideal day off?
My ideal day off.
Have you ever had a day off? This shouldn't be this rough, I don't think.
Yeah. I'd probably just spend it with my family. I'd love to be outdoors.
Outdoors with the family.
Yep.
Love it. What if we extend that? Your vacation. You're taking a week. Where are you going? What you doing?
Ooh.
Say money's not an object, because I know sometimes, we have a lot of kids and that gets really expensive really fast.
Yeah.
Traveling. But let's just say you could go anywhere.
I have heard, and I don't know because I've never been there, but I've heard from a lot of people that Machu Picchu is the coolest view in the world, and I would like to go see that.
Love it.
I would
Machu
like to go see
Picchu.
it.
Okay, and I'm going to extend this even further, getting this thought exercise going. Money's no object. You're now done with computers.
Oh, wow.
You're retiring. What are you doing? This could be 1 year. This could be 20 years. I don't know what your life plan is there, but you're done.
And I have to be done with computers, or I get to be
There's
done
a solar flare. There's no more computers.
There's
You
no more
cannot, You
computers.
cannot use computers. What are you doing?
I think I'd be back to social engineering. I think I'd just be seeing what I can do.
You're in Machu Picchu trying to engineer people to go and clean up the beach.
Or,
Is there a beach in Machu Picchu? I don't know. I'm ignorant.
There's not a beach in
All
Machu
right,
Picchu.
that's going to
It's very
sound
high
bad.
in
I
the
have no
mountains.
idea what I'm talking about.
So Machu Picchu is
I've never been.
a construction very high in the mountains.
Okay.
In the middle of,
Social engineer, somebody to construct a beach at Machu Picchu.
yeah, that would be really interesting.
Speak it into existence. Anything else you want to chat about?
No, I don't know that I was prepared for this. It's probably a terrible video.
No, it's perfect. I love it. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. SJ, thank you for joining me in the SAINTCON Hallway.
Thanks, Pope.